On this episode of Internet Business Mastery, we answer the question, what is the truth behind real financial freedom? And in the quick tip, we share a video that will boost your confidence to help you succeed.
Welcome to InternetBusinessMastery.com, where you will learn to take control, make more money, and start an internet business today. Here are your hosts, Sterling and Jay.
Hey everyone, I'm Sterling.
And I'm Jay.
And as always, we are on a mission to help you start your own internet business. You can go now to freevideogift.com and check out our video that teaches you the right way to start your very own internet business. So Jay, what's been going on?
Well, I've been having some fun in the last couple weeks kind of thinking about, my wife and I would like to kind of riff every once in a while on, what are some other things we'd like to do in life, lifestyle upgrades. And when I say lifestyle upgrades, people usually think, nicer house, nicer car, traveling more, things like that. And those are all, great things. It could obviously be, something as simple as I'd like to hire a cleaning service so I don't have to clean my bathrooms anymore because I just absolutely hate and despise doing that. But it's kind of fun every once in a while to think about, when we get that next income boost, what's the next lifestyle upgrade that we'd like to implement in our lives? And incidentally, for us, it is actually more traveling, especially since the last year or a little over a year has been focused on, getting ready for and gearing up to, being pregnant, having a child, getting into parenthood. And of course, that kind of, all those things tend to kind of keep you a little more static or in place. We haven't done a whole lot of traveling due to that. And so we're kind of getting the itch a little bit. But here's the thing that I notice is as we talk about this, okay, cool. How often we'd like to travel? What are some of the places we'd like to be? And we both said, what are the top 3 places you'd like to visit right now? Or even if we were to go live abroad again, where would that be? And the cool thing about that is it really starts energizing me about putting new systems and creating new value and creating new things to make that income that would pay for that traveling. So it's very motivational, obviously. And it's just a reminder that there's a big difference between sitting down and going, I really like to make $1,000 extra a month versus going, I'd really like to make an extra $1,000 a month so that I could take my family on 2 big vacations in the first part of this year, or so that I could eat out, 5 nights a week, or so that I could get a massage every weekend. And those are all kind of more luxury things, or maybe something as simple as buy a second car so that, my spouse and I each have our own car to get around. Just little things that make your life more convenient, or maybe, help you enjoy the relationships that you have, whatever it is that, you define that next level of happiness or convenience or freedom or fulfillment for yourself. Go back to school and take more classes. And so I just like that reminder on a regular basis. It's good to ask yourself not just how much money would I like to make, but what does that money signify for me?
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I was never motivated by the money itself, and that's where, I don't know, I guess it was a couple years ago that we started talking about it more like this. And I remember you sent me an Excel spreadsheet of the upgrades you guys had coming up that you wanted and what you thought the prices were, what the total was, and then it's like, oh, so we need $4,200 more of this, to meet all of these new upgrades that we want to do. And I really liked that idea because it's definitely, it comes to a point where you're like, I want an extra $10,000 for what? Why? I mean, it sounds really weird, but I want another $500. Okay, to go in the bank.
Right,
okay.
Exactly, in the bank. Well, and that's the thing. I think I can fall in the trap of, I just want to have more money in the bank to feel more comfortable that it's there. And while, that's good to have savings and things like that, but it's like, then it can really stagnate your motivation because just simply, having more money to feel more secure isn't nearly as motivating as, okay, part of that money is going to go towards something that's really going to be fulfilling or freeing or, exciting for me or my family. So,
yeah, and I know that when I first started, when I was kind of mapping out what I wanted, if I was able to get some success, what are some of the upgrades I would really want in my life? And I've been able to do some of them, but one of the main ones was I wanted to, be able to get my kids out of the nasty trenches of public school and get them somewhere where they can, really flourish and, not be treated like little drones, fed off to the factories. But anyway, so last year I was able to get them into a charter prep school, which they actually hate. They wear the little uniforms and are told when to pick up their pencil and all that stuff. Right. And so I was able to, my big one for this next, school year, I guess, or for half of the year for us and our business was to get them and get them into a a private school that will, really let them flourish as people. And I was able to find 3 of them in Salt Lake. I was really surprised. And they do crazy things. Like I can't even believe how awesome some schools can be. They go on trips throughout the year where they learn out in the world. So they do international trips. I mean, I didn't even know this because of course I was raised, very, very, very the lowest possible income other than zero you could have. And, the worst public schools and stuff. But, so they were like, oh, we went to the Bahamas last year for our first trip. And then we went to France or, it's crazy. So anyway, I found these schools, but of course, and I had no clue what, more high end, like really cool, private school would cost. And yeah, it's pretty, it took my breath away. I'm like, what? How do people do this? Okay. But anyway, that was my goal. So actually right now, my youngest daughter is at one of the schools, doing what they call a shadow day, where they let you go shadow one of the kids there and just go to school all day and see if you like it. See if you can, fit in, and if you like being in that type of environment, the classes aren't so strict in how they work, and the kids get a say and choices, and it's very, very cool. It's definitely considered alternative because you don't just do math from 9 to 9:45, do as you're told, walk to the next class. It's very different than that, but that was definitely something that I can go, okay, it's X amount every year, and rather than just take from what I make now, I'm going, this is the completely awesome thing again about internet business. I just think, okay, what other, as we're going to talk about later, what other value can I bring to the world that they'll trade my value for the value of money that I can just pay for this school?
Yeah.
And that excites me definitely more than going, okay, I want 30 grand more a year or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's, I did the same thing as you, and I'm looking at, and that's one of them, private school for my kids. I always thought, wouldn't that be cool? And of course, again, in my family, if nobody went to college, so private school there was no way. So it's definitely exciting, and it definitely inspires me to the next level.
So I mean, I guess the moral of the story that we can share here is wherever you're at in your internet business, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this a few years, what is that thing that'll inspire you to the next level? And if you're just starting out, maybe you go, okay, well, the moment that I'm making $500 a month, I'll go buy that nice car I've always wanted. There's that cool car payment.
Well, and I've heard people say the moment I'm able to pay my mortgage with it to show my spouse that this really works, I've heard that one a lot. Then, yes, I'm going to be really excited, and that will motivate me just to pay the car payment or the mortgage payment or whatever.
So definitely find something that will excite you. And if you even go look into how much that trip will cost, go look into what that private school will cost, go look at the options you might get on that car, put a picture of it up or whatever to keep you excited and moving forward. And it just inspires and instills a lot more meaning into what you're doing rather than just going, okay, well, it would be nice to make a couple grand more a month or a few grand more a year, whatever the case may be. So what will your new income pay for you? That's the question to ask yourself.
Well, and that ended up almost like a feature segment. Yeah, but we still got more.
So let's get right into it.
And now, the feature segment.
So Sterling, let's talk about financial freedom. I mean, there's an interesting phrase. It definitely gets used a lot, especially in the space of starting an internet business or starting any business, financial freedom. It gets mentioned as a dream, as a hope. It gets mentioned to signify a certain amount of money in the bank. There's all kinds of meaning around that phrase. And I thought it'd be interesting to chat a bit about the truth behind financial freedom and what does it really mean to us, and what do we think it means to the people who listen to the show as well, and then how does that influence the things that we teach and share through internet business. And it reminds me, I want to start out with a story. It reminds me of a day early on in this whole process of becoming an entrepreneur. I'd already quit my job and been kind of going at things for a couple years and having, some success here and there. The real estate thing had worked okay for me, but wasn't really making me all that jazzed. And I was starting to move into infopreneurship, online business, things like that, dabbling and making a bit of money there. And I remember, though, one of the things I was still struggling with was the fact that I still had this nagging worry in the back of my mind that any day now I could end up just having to go back and get a job, and that would feel like this ultimate failure or something. And of course, we don't believe in ultimate failure. In the end, you just keep going, and even if that would be like a temporary setback of getting back a job, but whatever reason that really weighed on me was, what if I end up having to go back and apply for a job again? There was this one day where I'd come up several weeks earlier with this new idea for a niche, and I put a site together, created, I saw a place where it was really ill suited in all the information that was available online. I knew I could do a better job of creating information people were looking for. I had clear ideas of how I'd be able to monetize that information down the road. And so I went ahead and put up this site and put all kinds of info. And the cool thing was that within a few weeks, it was ranking very highly and really well in the search engines. It was pulling in really good traffic. In fact, even now, years later today, it still pulls in a ton of traffic. And it felt really good to see, first of all, Google going, oh, this is a good source of info. We're going to rank this highly. And then people showing up and then starting to email me and going, oh my gosh, this is amazing information. But then not only that, but then to finally get to the point where I started putting, some affiliate offers on there and even coming up with some of my own courses. And for whatever reason, I think it was just there's those money emails that show up that are certainly very exciting to get. And for whatever reason, that day, it was like, I think maybe I had just posted a new product I had made or something, but that day, a significant amount of money showed up in my email inbox, enough to take off some financial stress that we were having at the time. And all of a sudden I made this light bulb went off in my mind that I had finally learned how to identify a need and fill that need in such a way that, create value in such a way that people would recognize that value and give me money, in fact, enough money for that value that, it was going to be more than enough to provide for my basic needs and keep me from having to go get a job. And that from there, it was only going to be, upwards and onwards. And sure, there would still be setbacks at times and sometimes things wouldn't work out. But I guess I realized, I have acquired the knowledge. I have put that knowledge into practice. I have seen some results, and I now have a level of confidence in my abilities to create that value and put that knowledge into play such that I no longer have to worry about needing a resume. So literally that day, I tore up my resume for the last time, and I just knew for a certainty I'm never going to work for somebody else. I was at that moment of I'm truly now unemployable. It's not going to happen. And it was very freeing. And, no, I didn't have $1 million in the bank. No, I didn't have enough to never have to work again the rest of my life. But I felt like in that moment, I had a level of financial freedom that I had wanted from the moment I'd finished reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was interesting to note that it had come before having that huge amount of wealth I think that we all think about when we hear that phrase, financial freedom. Oh, financial freedom means, yes, I've got $4 million in the bank and I'm living off the interest. Or I've got $1 billion and I don't ever have to even, bat an eye at anything I'd possibly want to do. And yes, that might be a level of financial freedom, but that moment was probably the most impactful in that first level of freedom for me. And I guess that's what I want to talk about a bit in this feature segment of this episode. So that dispels, I guess, a few myths. And we all think, sometimes when we hear financial freedom, people think, well, okay, financial freedom is this something that you finally arrive at one day. And, that goes into something I think we've mentioned on episodes, this arrival fallacy that, about success and, the things are a lot more about progress than they are about arrival. People think, oh, I finally will arrive at happiness someday. And the truth is that by the time that you arrive there, you've already kind of moved your level of what you want to the next level. So the key is to find that freedom, find that happiness, find that fulfillment now. And so I think there's a bit of a myth that it's like something you arrive at. It requires millions of dollars and it's all about money. But the thing, if you think about it, that finally dissipated my fear, like I said, it was acquiring that knowledge, getting some results with that knowledge, and having that confidence in my ability now to handle whatever challenges might get in my way as I moved forward. And yes, sure, I still had that desire of, I want to have $1 million+ business. I want to have the financial, options and other things that come along with that. But as you move along, it's like, I remember in The Millionaire Mind, he talks about, you might start out as a level one problem person, where, there's this certain degree of challenges that you're able to deal with. Anything above that, it causes lots of anxiety and might hold you back. But every time you deal with more level 1 problems, now you kind of expand till you're now a level 2 problem person, level 3, level 4. And that's part of this process too of financial freedom, is expanding your capacity, your belief in yourself, your level of creativity to face whatever challenges, coming up with ever new ideas may be needed. But if I were to succinctly just say, what is that level 1 of financial freedom? It's knowing that you know how to create value that others will pay for. Knowing that you know how to create value that others will pay for. And when you have learned that and put that into practice, even if that value's only made you $100 so far, that's the beginning of that knowledge and of that true financial freedom that will, be able to provide for whatever you want the rest of your life, even if that level of financial freedom keeps moving up in increments as you go. But I just wanted to kind of bring that idea in here so that people, who may be like, I don't need to own a yacht, I don't need, or maybe you're feeling daunted by, that would be nice, but that seems so far above me.
Yeah, you're like, I still want to leave my job and be able to still take care of my family. And it's funny because that's kind of how we approached this show in the very beginning. We were like, we've been able to both, when we started the show, we were already both, at the time, separately making enough money that we didn't have to have a regular job. But we were just regular guys that had regular jobs, and then we figured out how to do it so we could leave our regular jobs, and we're doing well. I mean, it's highly doubtful you'll see ever on our stuff pictures of us in front of Ferraris and stuff, not only because for whatever reason I have no interest in Ferraris, but the other thing is because I think that most people aren't just simply looking for that. And, of course, that might be 3 or 4 levels later. Right? Like, you got to be able to leave your job and still take care of things first. And that's why, doing this episode on the truth behind real financial freedom was so interesting to me, definitely, when you talked about this, because I'm like, there's so many steps in between the picture of the Ferrari and the yacht and somebody who's just beginning. And to me, it always, like, even though I'd see stuff like that and go, oh, look at that guy, he's in a really cool car and got a yacht or a big house or whatever, and I was thinking, oh, that would be very cool. It actually usually took the wind out of my sails a little bit, going, how do I get there? Like, I at the time, it was like, I haven't even bought in a house once in the first place. How do you even do any of that? And we even talked about a few years ago, what does $1 million look like? Where do you put it? You know what I mean? Like, do you put it in one bank? Like, you got to learn the steps to get up there before, you know what I mean? Like, there's steps in between there. And definitely that's what this episode is about, that first step.
Well, and so your mind goes to a place when you finally have that realization, I think, about this definition of financial freedom. And when you have that arrival at that first level of, wow, okay, yes, I do have the knowledge and the results and the confidence. Now at that point, it's just a matter of time. You see something like that and you're like, it's just a matter of time till I get there. Because I've figured out the value creation. Maybe the Ferrari is 5 years down the road. But that's okay. I'll never have to go back because now I know the secret of value creation. And the other reason I love this definition of financial freedom is, some of the objections that people have about, well, what if the economy tanks, and that's certainly on a lot of people's minds right now. We're not in the strongest, economy, so to speak. At least that's what they're saying. Or they might think, well, isn't there like a limited amount of success out there to be had, or limited amount of wealth? I mean, if one person has more, that means that there's less for me to have. Or if I take more, that means I've left less for somebody else. And here's the truth about how the economy and the world works is, in the end, it's all about a value creation. And that's why I love being and helping create entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are about creating value in the world, about identifying needs, filling that need with value in such a way that people are willing to exchange their time and money for those things. And really, there is an infinite amount of value. I mean, the moment we fill one value, well, that just creates 10 more needs that need to be fulfilled with value. And so when you understand that, it's like, no, the sky's the limit, not only for me individually, but for the world, the economy, for the possibilities for humanity, however grand you want to take that vision. When you think of it as being value creation, I think it's very freeing and also very exciting to think about things in that way.
Well, and what occurred to me when you were saying that is, even when you get your first site up and you're putting blog posts up and you're starting to generate that value, you are now in the realm of financial freedom. Even before you've made your first dollar, because you're developing the skill, right, of value. So you're getting more knowledge, and then the next level was, like you said, is getting the results. Well, the results will come when you've given enough value.
Absolutely, yeah, I love that. And there's another word that we've mentioned here, and that is kind of confidence. And certainly, knowledge brings confidence, and getting results with that knowledge brings confidence. But there is another element. I mean, I think people have come to realize that in business and success, there's this piece of the mindset. We talk lots on the show about mindsets because it's so important. For instance, T. Harv Eker, to mention him again, he's come up a couple of times in this episode, says, there's a secret to the psychology of money, or there's a secret psychology of money. Most people don't know about it. That's why most people never become financially successful. A lack of money is not the problem. It's merely a symptom of what's going on inside of you. And we've mentioned in the past this idea of self-esteem. Self-esteem being primarily two things: your belief in that you deserve to be happy and successful and have fulfillment in life, and then your belief in your ability to acquire or achieve or manifest those things in your life through your actions and the things that you do. And so, even if you find yourself still feeling kind of stuck, even though you have acquired knowledge and had some results with that knowledge, it could be this idea of self-esteem, which comes from just beliefs that we formed throughout our lives, whether it's be, from other people that have been in our life, experiences we've had, whatever that case may be. And one of the best ways that we have found to understand and work with this inner game, this inner mindset that could be affecting your ability to create value is through a book called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, which is just a fantastic book about how to identify and access those beliefs very quickly and get them out of your way so that you do have complete that complete resume tearing experience of not only having the knowledge, not only having the results, but having the confidence in your ability to apply and make those things happen. We're going to talk a little more about the self-esteem thing in the quick tip, but a quick way to kind of check out the concept of this idea. But that book, 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, is one of our highest recommendations. We send it to all of our highest end coaching students. They all love it when they read it, and they email us and go, "Oh, this has just been awesome." It's I seriously can see some places where a few changes are going to really unblock success for me, and so we wanted to bring that into this episode because that's also a key part of this as well. So, well, certainly, Sterling, this idea of, okay, value creation is kind of, a first level of financial freedom, and not to discount at all this idea of, I'd love to have $4 million in the bank and live off of the interest, or whatever the case may be. What are some of those other levels of financial freedom for you that you've arrived at or looking forward to, or just some other ways to look at financial freedom? Not to narrow it down too much to this value creation, though I think this is a very critical thing, but just to address also some of the other ideas behind financial freedom.
Well, I definitely still had a bit of that arrival fallacy, in me of, once I get here, then I've got a little bit of success or whatever. And I know that, as we've been talking about value for some time now, I think the moment that I felt like really strong with, my value was when this typical thing in my mind that when we hit $1 million, that means something. And so
right.
I would say that, our business, I believe it was last year, by about June, we saw that happen for the first time ever. And it happened by June. All of a sudden, we had, hit that magic 7 figures. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, that's when for me that value thing happened, and I went, okay, with my ability to create value, and in this case, us together creating this value, we've been able to hit something that's, in so many different kind of cliche ways, the place to be, hit $1 million. So that's probably where I went, okay, take that breath out. Okay, we've done that. Yeah. Okay, now it's 10 million, but no, that's the next one. But I think that, again, as far as levels of financial freedom, I used to just think, $1 million was first, then 10 million, then 100 million, stuff like that. And I didn't even know, a billion just wasn't, I don't even know what $10 million looks like, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is so far, I don't know what that looks like, but I can tell you that, some of the things I've read about, that kind of thing, talks about, like, one book I was just reading said, you're not even considered rich by rich people until you hit 400 million. Wow. And I'm like going, oh my gosh. When I think of my family, and my dad, he makes under $100,000 a year, and that's pretty high. That's a really good upper middle class world. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, as far as levels of financial freedom, I think that hitting that value, it's nice to not have to say, oh, I've got to make 10 million before I can feel successful. Right, because that's part of that arrival fallacy that, I go to lunch with one of my other internet business friends, and, he definitely has the 10 million thing, and he's working really hard. So the only problem I've seen is that for the last 2 years, he always talks about, in 10 years, I'm going to sell my business for 10 million, and then I'm going to go do all this stuff. But he's been saying 10 million in 10 years for 2 or 3 years. So that 10 years just keeps moving, right? Like, because that's a huge, huge goal. It's cool to have that goal, but, if you're not realizing that, oh my gosh, they're creating amazing value for people. They've got a multi-million-dollar business already that they're generating each year. And I'm not sure if he even thinks he's successful because he hasn't hit 10 million personally taking home so he can kind of retire at age 37 or whatever he is, he'll be then. Right. So I think that, some of the other levels, I think it's actually more dependent on your own personal beliefs of what you actually want. Some people, again, don't need the yacht. A yacht, I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to even think about that. Every time another friend of mine and I went in California, one of the coffee shops we'd go to, right next door was a Ferrari dealership. And every time he would tell me all about the Ferraris and stuff, and because he just knew he wanted that and stuff. And I was like, meh. Everybody has their own thing. I was talking about, I'm excited about putting my kids in an actual private school, which is a humongous deal for me and my family. Right. Whereas, a Ferrari doesn't mean a whole lot to me. So, but for some people, they're going to go, yeah, I want that Ferrari and 10 million. That's awesome. So I think mostly the truth behind this is also realizing, again, that arrival fallacy. It's okay to have those far, far reaching goals, but to realize that, the moment you start creating value, you're leading to the fact that I think you can leave your job. Like, leaving your job's definitely, if you want to leave your job, right? Like, that's definitely a level, after creating value. Then maybe, having double the income you actually need. So if you need $3,000 a month for all your expenses and you've got 6, even after the state extortion's taken, federal extortion, you still have $6,000. That's so I would say that defining that for yourself and not being so crazy as to put it way out there so you never get to feel successful or feel, I'm not going to have financial freedom till 100 million. It's like, oh my gosh, that would be a great third level dream or a goal, but have something where you can enjoy now.
Right.
And believe me, it's taken me years to even be able to say that, because I always had the, once I hit 1 million, then I'll feel okay.
Yeah.
And then once I hit 10 million, okay, now I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, great concepts there. We've covered some really good stuff. I mean, arrival fallacy, value creation, self-esteem. These are big lessons, and these are very significant, I think, to success, happiness, freedom, fulfillment, things that anybody listening to the show knows that we are all about. So I guess maybe we'll just finish off one more time with that definition of that first level of financial freedom. I'm actually going to tweak the definition. Earlier I said it's knowing that you know how to, I guess we'll say confidence that you know how to create value in the world. And I think that definition of financial freedom, it's very freeing, it's very fulfilling, it's very impactful for you in the world, and it can happen a lot sooner than, this mythical 1 million or 4 million dollars that people usually have in their mind when they hear that phrase, financial freedom. And so decide now that you want to learn how to create that value in the world, and the rest will come with time. At that point, it is truly just a matter of time. All right, this episode we have another breakthrough from an Academy member. I posted to our community forums there. This one's from Tracy Brinkman, who says, I finally got my podcast up online, and as of right now, I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm already getting great feedback from my audience. I've had a blog up for a while at yoursuccessatlast.com and have been a member of the Academy for some time. I finally had to break through the I'm not good enough mentality and just do it. Surprise, surprise, the audience loves it. Go figure. So you guys and gals don't have to be 100% better than the rest of the world to be viewed as an expert. You just need to have a little more insight than the people you are marketing to. Share that little bit more and you'll go learn more yourself. Thanks, guys. Your material gave me the much needed kick in the pants to finally get going. Well, that's cool right there. I mean, look, you just get started creating a bit of value, right? And it really does, snowball. You don't have to be the person creating like this upteenth, highest level of, expertise and knowledge and value in the world. But, if you just get going, there are going to be people who are going to appreciate that. And so I'm thrilled to hear that we were able to give you that kick in the pants and get you going on your podcast, and that it's already proving 2 episodes in to be fulfilling and people are responding to that. So congratulations on your podcast, Tracy.
And remember, there's a live question and answer call each month for coaching members where you can ask us anything about starting and running your internet business. Not a coaching member yet? No problem. Just visit internetbusinessmastery.com/coaching to get the latest information about our coaching program.
It's time for the Internet Business Quick Tip.
All right, so for this quick tip, I thought we'd kind of give people an initial source they can go to on something we mentioned earlier in the episode, and that is this idea of self-esteem, as talked about in the book 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden, kind of the foremost expert. And he's a psychologist, philosopher, very well respected in this area. And he's written lots of books on this topic. And incidentally, there's a great portion of one of his books where actually in all of his books, obviously on self-esteem, he talks about what is self-esteem. And so it's a phrase that can seem a little vague to people, or there's different definitions. So just to make sure it's really clear, I thought it'd be cool to give people a nice video they can go check out. We'll have a link directly to this video in the show notes. But if you just go to YouTube also and you search for Nathaniel Branden Self-Esteem, and Branden is spelled Branden, there will be a video right up at the top called What is Self-Esteem? And it's a segment out of his book, How to Raise Your Self-Esteem, the Proven Action-Oriented Approach to Greater Self-Respect and Self-Confidence, kind of talking back to that confidence thing we were talking about earlier. And I think people will enjoy this short video that gives, I believe it might even be in is that his voice? I was wondering.
Yeah,
I think it is his own voice. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
His own voice, explaining what this idea of self-esteem is. So go ahead and check that out with a search on YouTube, Nathaniel Branden Self-Esteem, and click on What is Self-Esteem, or check out the direct link that we'll have in the show notes to this video.
And by the way, if needing to read yet another book is weighing you down with books, so you've got a queue of 23 books, Actually, the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem is also on Audible. So if you want to get the audio version, just be able to listen to it, after you get done with this episode. First,
yeah,
and any backup episodes, no. But you can definitely listen to it. That's how I originally, a few years ago, I listened to it first, and then finally got the book and started going through that. I just wanted to suggest that to get more people, not feeling like, oh wow, I have to read another physical book.
Thing to read, right?
Yeah.
Some to add on this top of the stack that will soon be buried under something else on top of it. I know how that goes, for sure. Yeah, that's a great tip.
If you'd like to get dozens of resources such as this one, you can find them in the Internet Business Mastery Academy, along with video tutorials showing you exactly how we use many of them. So to get your risk-free trial membership to the Academy, go to InternetBusinessMasteryAcademy.com.
You've been listening to the iconoclasts of the 9 to 5 Sterling and Jay. Sterling and Jay invite you to discover one of their most popular video programs ever, the Online Business Freedom Formula. Visit freevideogift.com right now to get instant access to this life-changing video series, pulled directly from the acclaimed Internet Business Mastery Academy membership community. Go now to freevideogift.com. Take control. Make more money. Start an internet business today.